What if I told you that there was an NBA player who was literally forbidden from shooting? From a 3-point shooting percentage stuck below 30% in college, to not a single coach believing in his jump shot, Gary Payton II was told not to take a single shot in the NBA. But instead of giving up, he completely reinvented his game. He found new ways to score without shooting, improved his positioning, and became a defensive nightmare. Then one coach finally lifted his ban, and everything changed. His shot improved, his confidence grew, and he went on to win an NBA championship while shutting down some of the game's biggest stars. This is the story of Gary Payton II. It's February 3rd, 1992 in Seattle, Washington. Gary Payton and his partner, Monique, have just welcomed their first child into the world, who the pair would name after his NBA All-Star father, Gary Payton II. Gary, over the course of his dad's 9-time NBA All-Star, 2-time NBA First Team, and single championship winning career, was constantly surrounded by greatness. Whether it was witnessing the greatest in-game dunk in the history of the sport,
GP's boy had the little new cameras, that's when they went from the big joint to the small joint. He showed me, I was like, wait, I watched it 7 times in a row. I was like, I jumped over him?
Or just being around legends such as Shawn Kemp and LeBron James, the young Payton seemed destined for basketball greatness. However, growing up, Payton II had a different view of the game.
It was kind of hard, in high school. People expecting you to be as great as your father instantly just because who your father was playing basketball. Going into high school, from a junior high school, I really kind of put it aside my first 2 years in high school and just kind of hung out and been a regular kid.
In fact, the young Gary disliked living in the shadow of his father so much, he preferred to be referred to by his middle name, Dwayne. And Payton Sr. even went so far as to never play his son one-on-one because he was afraid to break his spirits and see him quit completely. But it was in Gary's senior year at Spring Valley High School where everything changed for GP2.
Really, my dad gave me a dilemma to either get a job or get a scholarship to go to school. So I had to make a decision, and I just decided to, put all my eggs into basketball, and see where it would take me.
I got him with a guy named Daryl Jordan that really helped him play. He believed in my son, and he stayed with my son. And I didn't think my son was very good, and he proved to me, and that's what I like for a kid to do. That's why I say things about kids, because I want them to come back and say, I want to prove Gary Payton wrong.
The pair would work tirelessly, with Peanut helping to guide Payton to utilize the strengths he already possessed, rather than trying to model his skill set after his father's game. In truth, the younger Gary Payton would idolize his mother more.
I think I kind of simulate my mom a little bit more than my dad.
However, Gary ran into some serious issues. Because despite receiving interest from some Division I colleges, Gary Payton II, who unfortunately suffered from dyslexia, didn't have the required grades for D1. To make things even worse for GP2, by the way, sorry to interrupt the story, but are any of you F1 fans? Because whenever I hear GP2, I just think of this clip. Anyway, after he attended Westwind Prep School in Arizona in an attempt to remedy these issues, the school was flagged by the National Collegiate Athletics Association as being illegitimate, and all of Gary's grades were wiped. Therefore, before Payton could even think about playing at the highest level of college basketball, he was going to have to attend a junior college for 2 years. So, off GP2 went to Salt Lake Community College in Utah. But given that he had really only taken basketball seriously for just over a year now, could Payton really succeed at the next level? Well, by the time his sophomore season rolled around, and after stating that shell defense was his favorite drill,
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Gary was beginning to shine, thanks to his 14.1 point, 3.8 assist, 1.9 steal, and get this, 7.9 rebound average as a 6'2" guard. Payton's Salt Lake team had not only repeated as conference champions, but their star guard was named as both the Conference Player of the Year, and Tournament MVP. So Gary Payton II had clearly shown he was more than capable at the junior college level, but could he really translate this success to Division I? December 14th, 2014, Payton, after accepting a D1 scholarship to the same program that his father dominated at for 4 straight seasons, had been slowly working his way into Oregon State's rotation. But it was on this night where everything truly changed for GP2. After recording 6 steals, 10 points, 12 rebounds, and throwing 10 assists in their victory over Grambling State, Gary Payton became the second player in OSU history to record a triple-double. The first, none other than GP2's own father. But this wasn't the only similarity in the pair's game.
Growing up, offense wasn't my strong point, so I had to use defense to get my offense going, and I just made a key of that and took pride of that.
Because Payton II, just like Gary Sr., who had earned the nickname The Glove due to how he held offensive players like a baseball in a mitt whilst guarding them, was also a defensive mastermind. Yet, he had one clear advantage over his father.
Read the play a couple frames ahead and see what the offense is trying to do, and using my length and my agility and my speed, I just try to shoot the gaps. I think it's my length. A lot of teams don't think I'm as lengthy as I am, and that makes them be lackadaisical with their pass, or don't think they think they can squeeze a long pass in, and then I just use my speed and my length to do it.
Thanks to the athletic gifts passed down from his mother, the defensive IQ from his father, and his 6'8" wingspan, Gary would record some insane defensive achievements. Firstly, on the 21st of February 2015, GP2 would go on to set Oregon State's single game block record as a 6'2" guard against the Colorado Rams.
Lob it down low to Scott, his first good look, gets his own rebound, knocked away there by...
Sending 7 shots flying. Secondly, as their 2014-2015 campaign rounded out, Payton, despite his team not qualifying for the March Madness tournament or advancing deep into their conference competition, had recorded the second most steals in the whole country. An incredible achievement which saw the rising star be named as the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year. And finally, his greatest accomplishment during his first year at Oregon State was something that happened off the court.
I just tell him always that thank you for pushing me, and if it really wasn't for him and the rest of my family for pushing me and believing in me, who knows where I would be right now.
His relationship with Gary Payton Sr. had been repaired. However, despite this incredible season, the NBA wasn't convinced. Scouts had noted 3 key areas Payton struggled in: his point guard skills.
I know he's left-handed. Look at a great job by Tarczewski. That was Tarczewski.
His poor 1.7 assist to turnover ratio, and highlighting another truly alarming fact: GP2, despite having a really nice shooting form, had only shot 29% from 3 during his junior campaign. Therefore, Payton decided to return for his senior season in an attempt to prove these scouts wrong. But could much really change in a single year? And given he lacked true point guard skills, as well as struggling to shoot, was there even a role for him at the highest level of the game anyway? Well, after dunking all over everybody during his senior season, being named to the All Pac-12 first team, winning Defensive Player of the Year again, improving his assist to turnover ratio to 2.23, and leading Oregon State to the March Madness tournament, NBA scouts were still confused. While GP2 was an incredible defender, his ball handling skills
can't connect. 4 rebounds now.
And ability to read defenses in actions such as the pick and roll,
Shaken after a good knock-on. Losing a bunch of close games, conference play.
simply wasn't good enough for him to be a point guard, and his 31% shooting from 3 was far too low for him to slide in as a team's 2 guard. Therefore, as the 2016 NBA draft came to a close, Gary Payton II did not hear his name called. No. However, the Houston Rockets, knowing how talented of a defensive player Payton was, ultimately did sign the OSU star to a 3-year deal. Gary had achieved his NBA dream, or had he? because during the 2016 Summer League,
It's not something crazy. 404 area code line.
as well as Houston's preseason games,
Payton.
GP2 struggled in the exact same way he did during his time in the NCAA. Payton just wasn't a true point guard, and opposing teams were literally game planning around his lackluster shooting. So, the Houston Rockets, before the 2016-2017 season had even started, cut Gary Payton II. So, was this the end of his journey? And is this the end of your journey of being unsubscribed to Out of Bounds? I really hope it is. Anyway, thanks. December 3rd, 2016. After signing to the Rio Grande Valley Vipers, a team in the NBA's development league, Payton had been slowly showcasing what he could do at the highest level of the game. Gary, over the squad's first 8 battles, had been averaging 11.8 points, 2.8 assists, 7.8 rebounds, and 1.5 steals per game. However, it was on this night versus the South Bay Lakers where GP2's career began to move in a completely different direction. With Gary Payton Sr. in attendance, Payton II would go on to not only pull down 11 rebounds as a 6'3" guard, but score a truly shocking 51 points. But the total number of buckets wasn't actually the interesting part of this night.
Payton in the near corner, drains the 3, and
that belonged to the fact that Gary had made 7 of his 12 attempts from behind the arc, a 58.3% rate, which showed, if given a green light, perhaps Payton could be a legitimate shooter in the NBA. However, upon finally receiving a second shot at his dream, signing a contract with the Milwaukee Bucks towards the end of their 2016-2017 season, he was told something shocking by their coaching staff upon arrival: do not shoot. So, wanting to remain at the highest stage and achieve his NBA dream, Payton would flat out refuse to attempt wide open threes, only putting them up when he absolutely had to. To make things worse, when he did actually shoot jump shots during his tenure with the Bucks, he only converted 2 of his 21 attempts. A fact which only saw his newfound label of non-shooter follow him to California as he signed with the Los Angeles Lakers on a 2-way contract during the 2017-2018 season. By the way, just so you know, a 2-way contract means a player is signed to both the main NBA team as well as that team's G League affiliate. Oh yeah, they changed it to the Gatorade League as well as introducing this new deal structure. Anyway, these contracts were created to give fringe players a chance to train and play with the main team as well as getting reps in the G League team, basically being the guy. Hope that helps. To make things even worse, when GP2 was given a green light to let it fly from behind the arc when he was playing for LA's G League team, the South Bay Lakers, Gary's collegiate numbers just got worse. Payton was only knocking down 26% of his attempts, far short of the 37% plus NBA teams want their guards to be shooting. Yet in the following 2018-2019 season, after once again being cut from an NBA team before the season even began, everything was about to change for Gary Payton II. January 18th, 2019, GP2 is back with the Rio Grande Valley Vipers, desperately trying to prove everyone wrong and achieve his one true dream. So, during this battle against the Memphis Hustle, Gary was showcasing his ability to finish near the rim,
lead. Dorrell Moore had it, and then Payton scores here.
Defensive talent,
60 straight games.
Payton missed, and that's a pass underneath intended for Moore.
and highlighting that his shooting technique was good enough for the next level. With Payton's 4 made threes, 7 rebound, 2 steal, and 31-point stat line in a victory against Memphis, the former OSU star would receive yet another call-up to the NBA, this time signing a 10-day deal with the Washington Wizards. But could he actually stick this time? January 29th, 2019, Payton, donning the number 4 in his first real minutes for the Wizards, would come out and show the league exactly what he was capable of.
Teams generally do.
play well on a consistent basis. As
Gary was not only racking up steal after steal, but having now spent 3 years developing in the G League, GP2 had become an elite off-the-ball player, someone who knew exactly when and where to cut to in order to find openings for easy layups near the hoop. But despite scoring 11 points and racking up 3 steals in just 12 minutes of court time, Gary Payton II was cut by Washington. Yet, Gary remained confident. He had proved that his game could translate to the highest level. All he needed was to wait for another shot. Therefore, he remained focused, spending the rest of his 2018-2019 season back with Rio Grande Valley, where he would go on to win a G League championship alongside teammate and finals MVP Isaiah Hartenstein. However, once again, NBA teams simply weren't interested. Payton's even worse 25% from 3 average during Rio Grande's championship season saw league squads overlook the incredible talents Gary did possess. Yet GP2 never gave up.
If you got a goal and you want to do something, you want to prove other people wrong. I had to prove my dad wrong. Just get to it, put it in your mind, have a mindset, tell yourself, sign a contract with yourself and tell yourself that, whatever it takes, whatever you got to do, wherever you got to go, there's really there's no stopping. Just if you want to get it done, just do it and don't stop.
In fact, after having another monster performance, this time versus the Stockton Kings,
3 with the hand in his face,
in which Gary scored 38 points, the team who let him go just a season ago changed their mind. The Washington Wizards would not only bring the former OSU star in for just 10 days, but sign him for the remainder of the 2019-2020 season. And on December 23rd, 2019, something insane would happen. Madison Square Garden, New York. In GP2's debut game for the Wizards this season, a battle he arrived at after taking a red-eye flight the night before, Gary got to work. While teams already knew how talented Payton was on the defensive side of the floor,
out of that as of late too, scored on everyone.
Payton has it stripped by Smith.
The incredible instant impact he made began drawing attention from around the league. Washington's 18-3 run during the G League Stars minutes truly proved just how gifted of a defender Gary Payton II was.
Where the offense was going to come from, the defense is creating offense, as you see right there again.
Yet, the same question still remained. Where do you play GP2 on an NBA team? Because the other 29 NBA squads refused to see past his flaws. A 6'3" point guard that can't really lead an offense or space the floor wasn't exactly an exciting prospect. In fact, the Washington Wizards even began to share the same feelings, with opposing teams game planning around Payton's subpar shooting, literally daring him to shoot threes. GP2's minutes began to shrink as the NBA entered a league-wide shutdown due to a global pandemic. Perhaps this really was the end of Gary Payton II's career, or was it? Well, with Payton once again returning to the NBA G League, this time being drafted 15th overall by the Toronto Raptors affiliate team, GP2 still remained locked in on his dream.
Been through that, with the voices telling me I can't go, even coming from my father, telling me I was not a good, very basketball player. So I don't say anything, don't talk to nobody about it, just go to the gym and work, and when the time and the moment comes, I show them what I've been doing and just make them eat their words.
So Gary would go out and not only record 2 games with 7 steals,
and temporary home, and then Harris heads right back to the G League bubble as Gary Payton II
throw down vicious dunks.
Oh, a steal right off that from Gary Payton II!
But win the G League's Defensive Player of the Year award.
Talk about the importance of that.
However, once again, his continued decline in three-point percentage, this time only shooting 17% from behind the line during the 2020 G League season, saw most NBA teams completely write off the elite defensive guard yet again. But there was one franchise who saw something that nobody else did.
He's an excellent defender, smart, tough, someone that we've had our eye on as an organization for the last couple of years. So it's a great opportunity for him, and it's a great opportunity for us to get him into our building and hopefully see him play. We'll see. We'll see how that plays.
At the time, I was just back at home in Vegas, working out, trying to stay ready. Get a call from my agent saying you're going to Golden State. So grabbed my bag, never unpacked, grabbed my bag, and got on the flight the next day, came out here.
Bob Myers, the 3-time championship-winning general manager of the Golden State Warriors, took a much different approach to recruiting because, unlike every other GM, Bob preferred to focus on what a player could do rather than what they couldn't. For example, you could press subscribe right now. But was this a smart decision by Myers? April 14th, 2021. In his 6th day of his 10-day contract with Golden State, Payton was eagerly awaiting his chance, this time against the Oklahoma City Thunder. So, when Steve Kerr finally unleashed the hungry guard, Gary ran with it.
Gary Payton, what a pickpocket move there. GP2 put it in and draw the foul.
GP2 would spend his short 9-minute stint on the floor racking up 10 points, 4 steals, and 1 block.
Situations. And there's Gary Payton II with a block.
Yet, upon the expiry of his 10-day contract, Gary Payton II hadn't received any further offers from the Warriors. Perhaps he hadn't done enough during his short time with Golden State. Or maybe, just maybe, he wasn't cut out for the NBA.
His 10-day ended, and he's dapping all of us up like, yo, man, it's been great. I appreciate y'all. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, oh, my 10-day up. I'm like, dude, you'll be here. See you later. And then I called Bob, Steph called Bob, and we're like, yo, you can't get rid of GP. Like, you got to bring him back. You see what he's doing for you? You got to bring him back.
But it wasn't just another 10-day. No, because once that contract had expired, the Warriors offered Gary a non-guaranteed deal for the whole 2021-2022 season. Payton was ecstatic. However, after breaking out one of the coldest celebrations after dunking all over Delano Banton in the 2021 Summer League,
signed a 2-way deal.
Hello, Las Vegas.
And spending the whole offseason working out with the Warriors, Golden State cut Gary Payton II from their roster before training camp. Yet once again, for what seemed like the 100th time, GP2 didn't let this break his spirit. In fact, he was going to do anything to help the team who had taken a chance on him succeed.
They had a video coordinating job open, and I was trying to, get in that job, try to ask for an interview for that job just to stay around this team and, be around the team and see if I can help. And, you never know, a 10-day might pop up, in between that video coordinating room.
But just 4 days after being axed from their squad, Gary Payton II received some incredible news.
Next thing that happened is they got a call saying we figured it out and, I'm staying. So that was no more video coordinating job.
Gary had incredibly beat out NBA veteran and technically a one-time champion Avery Bradley for the team's 15th roster spot. Yet Gary's contract was still non-guaranteed, meaning the Warriors, until January 10th, 2022, could either guarantee it for the remainder of the season or cut Payton literally whenever they wanted. So, GP2 knew exactly what he had to do. November 3rd, 2021. From the moment Gary Payton II entered this battle against the Charlotte Hornets, he was applying maximum effort on the defensive end.
That's it for bumpers. And Payton again. Boy, he's getting his hands on everything. This game was tied at 61. And then Golden State going on a 17-3 run.
It literally didn't matter to Gary who he was guarding. The only thing on his mind was stopping them. In fact, Payton was so dominant on that side of the court that his teammate, 3-time champion and Olympic gold medalist Klay Thompson, would tweet that he could watch GP2 play defense all night long. But it was 2 days later where the defensive mastermind would showcase the other side of his game. As in a battle against the New Orleans Pelicans, Steve Kerr, the team's head coach, had made some huge changes in how Payton was used on the offensive side of the floor. because Kerr, playing to the strengths of GP2, had him setting screens for the team's dominant guards.
There's a joke in there somewhere. We'll take.
A genius decision which, due to the intense focus of their opponent's defense on players such as Steph Curry, would see Payton finding layups or throwing it out to their huge array of snipers for wide open threes. Yet, it was a mindset which Coach Kerr imparted onto all of his players, which had the largest impact on GP2.
Number one, if you're open, shoot. Like, they give you an open shot, you take it.
Because Payton, now free from his ban that every other NBA coach had placed on him, felt confident, a fact which you could literally see in how, despite missing his first 2 attempts from behind the arc, Gary launched his third without hesitation.
Payton knocks down the 3.
But Kerr wasn't done, as he also knew just how freakishly athletic the ex-OSU star was. So, he designed plays to maximize this skill. However, despite dominating in his newfound role,
Gary plays like he's 6'8", so that's the difference. His game is molded around the rim, lob threats, offensive rebounds, he can pick up early, being in the paint already. So that's just his game.
And doing things such as winning jump balls for 7-footers.
Fitzgerald throws it high enough. Payton has great vertical.
Look at Payton trying to move his hand.
And Payton won it. GP2, young glove.
He was excited about that one too.
As the January 10th date came closer and closer, Payton still found himself without a guaranteed contract. Perhaps the Warriors didn't actually want him.
Gary Payton's guarantee date is coming up. I know that's a Bob decision, but do you see?
I'm going to make that decision right now. So, sorry, Bob. We're going to guarantee him the rest of the year.
Shout out Steve Kerr.
Now with his contract guaranteed until the end of the season, Gary Payton II was free to focus on his brand new goal.
Steph's like the Michael Jordan of our generation, and just to be on the same court and help him, continue to add on to his legacy, and the rest of those guys are just amazing. But I definitely love it here and what I do here in my role here on this team. Hopefully in the future I can continue to do the same thing, is just help those guys build on their legacy. So
Payton's insane defensive talents, newfound shooting confidence, which saw him hitting threes at a 41% clip, and shocking showcases of athleticism, saw Golden State win 53 games and secure the 3rd seed in the Western Conference. Yet, not only was the 2021 NBA's most valuable player Nikola Jokic in their way, but nobody outside of their franchise believed that they were a legit championship contending team.
You know what, I hate to say this right now, but to be honest with you, I don't see the Golden State Warriors bringing home another championship.
However, these words only serve to fuel Payton and the Warriors. Because throughout the first 4 battles of their first round series against the Denver Nuggets, GP2's defense was vital, whether it was blocking Jokic,
great screen set there by the elite,
forcing their guards into turnovers,
Congratulations to Smart. It's the second guard to win that award since Gary Payton. There's a strip.
or smartly finding openings off the ball by sneaking out of bounds.
Warriors have done to make him tired of something else. He's been dancing.
Payton was proving he was worth every penny Golden State invested into him. But Denver, having stolen a key victory to avoid being swept in Game 4, had seemingly retaken momentum of this series during their Game 5 matchup. Yet, as the Nuggets made run after run, Steve Kerr knew he had a secret weapon up his sleeve, one that he deployed during the fourth quarter to devastate Denver's defense. Gary Payton II would not only find easy layups using his incredible quickness in pick and roll, but knock down 2 clutch threes in the game's final period.
Pass to shoot. Payton has to fire, and he buries it.
Combine this with Steph Curry breaking out his brand new signature celebration, the night-night Golden State was ready for their next challenge, the Memphis Grizzlies. While the Ja Morant-led Grizzlies had been the team that sent Golden State packing in their last season, this year's Warriors squad was a much different beast. In fact, Coach Kerr, knowing how truly talented their rival's point guard was, chose to start GP2 in Game 1 in order to slow Morant down.
Morant gets inside, shot blocked from behind, Payton.
But that wasn't all Gary did, as starring in his new offensive role as a screener, Payton would shock Memphis.
Defend them with a smaller perimeter guy.
Oh, Gary Payton!
Yet, with less than 2 minutes remaining, it was Ja Morant who had given his team the crucial 2-point lead. But Gary Payton II was ready to respond.
Hurry the drive. Pass inside to Payton, he banks it in.
However, of course, it was always the former OSU star's defense which was his best asset.
Golden State holds on and wins Game 1.
April 27th, 2022. Once again, GP2 would find himself in the starting lineup for Game 2, and everything seemed to be going to plan. Until...
Right down the middle, he's fouled hard. And Payton's in pain.
I don't know if it was intentional, but it was dirty. But there's a code in this league. There's a code that players follow, where you never put a guy's season/career in jeopardy by taking somebody out in midair and clubbing him across the head and ultimately fracturing Gary's elbow.
Gary Payton II, who was now potentially ruled out for the remainder of the Warriors' postseason run, was devastated. Yet, as usual, he stayed locked in on what he could control.
First week was just rest, and then after that it was back to rehab and get my arm right, keep my legs right, keep conditioning right. Body was great, it was just waiting on my arm.
Meanwhile, Golden State continued to steamroll the Western Conference, disposing of Memphis after Game 6 and dominating the Dallas Mavericks in the Western Conference Finals in just 5 games. San Francisco's NBA franchise was set to return to the NBA Finals for the first time since their soul-crushing loss in the 2019 Finals. But would Gary Payton II be joining them on the court? June 5th, 2022. The Warriors, who blew a 15-point lead in Game 1, were in desperate need of Payton's defensive talents. However, after this happened, fans were left anxious, afraid that their team's defensive spark plug had just re-injured his elbow. Yet, after he did this a few plays later,
Kick out to Payton, testing that elbow.
it was clear GP2 was ready to go. Thanks to the return of their defensive mastermind, Golden State would crucially tie the series at 1 game apiece as they headed to Boston Garden for Game 3. But after the Warriors failed to capture a victory in this must-win game, many yet again began ruling out Golden State.
I'll start with you, Mr. Harvard. Are the Warriors done?
Yeah, they done. Look, I told people before the series that the Celtics were going to win this in 7, but after watching them last night and watching their intensity, their defensive prowess, see, we keep talking about shot making. I don't know how many times I got to come on here and keep preaching to everybody, yes, offense will win you games. Defense win you championships.
June 13th, 2022. After once again tying the series, this time at 2 wins each, the Warriors know just how important this game truly is. A loss here would see Boston returning to their home court just a single win away from being crowned kings of the NBA. So, GP2 knew exactly what he had to do. Gary, having spent the last 6 years mastering a style of play to suit the ban coaches placed on his jump shot, was smartly finding space off the ball. And when he did find himself open behind the arc, Payton let it fly with extreme confidence.
Right, and what those 4-on-4.
But, of course, you already know what I'm going to say, his defense was the most important.
Smart thought about it, now fires, can't hit the 3.
Payton's 15-point, 5-rebound, and 3-steal night would see his Warriors take the crucial 3-2 series lead, and with Steph Curry putting Boston to bed in Game 6, Gary Payton II was finally an NBA champion.
Your pops is no longer the only one in the house with a ring. What you got to say to the OG, man?
I got it. I think I got it sooner. You feel me? And I'm 1 for 1, 100%. You can't say nothing about 100%. That's 100%. So if you want to talk to me, you know where I live.
GP2, after spending 6 long years fighting to find a spot on an NBA roster, was now ready to cash in on his success. So, Gary would sign with the Portland Trail Blazers during the offseason on a 3-year, $28 million deal. Yet, what happened during the 2022-2023 season was incredibly odd. Firstly, Gary required surgery on his abdomen, which he received over the offseason to ensure his readiness for the start of the regular season. But once it finally arrived in late October, Payton wasn't ready to play. In fact, it wasn't until January 2nd, 2023 that GP2 actually took the floor for the Blazers. Secondly, after finally appearing for Portland, Gary Payton II would quickly re-find himself on the Trail Blazers injury list. Whether it was his ankle, calf, or alleged mental issues about his injury, the now NBA champion was barely seeing the court. Yet, finally, on February 8th, 2023, 55 games into the Blazers' 82-game season, things seemed to be turning around for Gary, because against his former squad, in his first start of the 2022-2023 season, Payton would score 9 points. But what happened a couple of days after this battle was even more confusing.
Senior NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski, you know what that noise means. The Blazers, they are trading Gary Payton II back to the Warriors for 5 second-round picks.
Yet, Golden State, after making a desperate move upon realizing just how much they missed Gary Payton II's skill set, uncovered something distressing. As after performing a medical examination once he arrived in San Fran, the team found out that GP2 wasn't actually recovered from his abdomen surgery at all, and was allegedly taking Taradol shots, a painkiller, in order to play in games for the Blazers. While Gary, his agent, and the Blazers GM, Joe Cronin, denied these claims, the fact that Payton simply wasn't healthy remained. To make things worse, regardless of Payton's return to Golden State, the issues the team faced after losing key players from their championship roster remained. GP2's 15 points in Game 3 and 13 in Game 4 of their second-round matchup against LeBron James and his Los Angeles Lakers was meaningless. Yet, this wasn't the only hurdle the Warriors had to overcome.
Welcome back. We have some monster breaking news, including a future Hall of Famer. Adrian Wojnarowski still on the desk with us. What more can you tell us?
Yeah, Cassidy, a big one. The Washington Wizards have agreed to send Chris Paul to the Golden State Warriors for Jordan Poole and 2 future draft picks.
Golden State, without their rising scoring star and the fact that Payton was once again suffering from injury after injury, would completely miss a postseason entrance in the 2023-2024 season. But once again, there was another roadblock in Golden State's journey back to a championship.
Klay Thompson is on his way to the Dallas Mavericks, I'm told.
Yet, as the 2024-2025 season's trade deadline approached, GP2 and his Warriors franchise would receive some great news.
Breaking news out of the Miami Heat. Our Shams Charania reporting that Jimmy Butler is on his way to the Golden State Warriors.
With a healthy Gary Payton II, who scored a career high of 26 points while donning a face mask versus former team, which also included knocking down 4 of his 6 threes, Golden State was primed for another run at the Larry O'Brien Trophy. However, as Game 1 of their second-round battle versus the rising Anthony Edwards and his Minnesota Timberwolves progressed, Golden State's megastar, Steph Curry, tragically went down with a hamstring injury.
MRI this morning confirmed that diagnosis, a grade 1 left hamstring strain for Steph Curry. He's going to be reevaluated in a week.
While the Warriors did gut out a win in their initial battle, Anthony Edwards and his Wolves were simply far too hungry to be eliminated. While it's unclear if we will ever see Payton's signature smile on an NBA floor again, one thing is for sure. His story is one of the most inspiring that I've ever heard, and it's one that continues off the court with his GP2 Foundation, something that Gary set up to help children just like himself to get diagnosed with dyslexia, as well as receiving assistance with their learning disorder. I've left a link in the description to their website, by the way. So what's your favorite Gary Payton II fact or moment? Is it that he has a brother called Gary Payton Jr., his head scratch celebration, or just his journey as a whole? Make sure you let me know down below in the comments. Speaking of Gary Payton II, did you know his father, Gary Payton Sr., played alongside the NBA's most vicious and violent dunker of all time, Shawn Kemp? The Seattle Supersonics elite power forward routinely dunked all over his defenders and did so in a way that was truly shocking. However, partying, overeating, and drugs unfortunately saw the elite athlete's career end in tragic fashion. So to learn more about how Shawn Kemp became such a violent dunker and why his career ended so tragically, click the video on your screen now.